Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Radha Madhava ki Shri Radha Radhanath ki Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Stotra Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki BBT founder Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada ki Senapati Bhakta Srila Prabhupada ki Mantra Upasaka Srila Prabhupada ki Savior of the whole world Srila Prabhupada ki Preeminent Shiksha Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Stotra Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Prem se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Gopa Gopanath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki Vrindavan Dham ki Mayapur Dham ki Ganga Maya ki Yamuna Maya ki Tulsi Maharani ki Bhakti Devi ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Gaura Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glory to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 18, entitled Prithu Maharaj Milks the Earth Planet. We are reading text number 7. You can repeat after me. Apalita Anadrita Cha Bhavadbi Loka Palakai Chori Bhute Ata Loke Aham Yagya Arte Agrasam Oshadi Apalitanadrita Cha Apalitanadrita Cha Bhavad bir lokapalakai. Bhavad bir lokapalakai. Choribute te loke ham. Choribute te loke ham. Yagnarte grasam oshadi. Yagnarte grasam oshadi. Apalitanadita cha. Bhavad bir lokapalakai. Choribute ta loke ham. Yagnarte grasam oshadi. Apalitanadita cha. Bhavad bir lokapalakai. Choribute ta loke ham. Yagnarte grasam oshadi. Apalita, without being taken care of. Anadita, being neglected. Cha, also. Bhavadbi, like your good self. Loka palakai, by the governors or kings. Choribute, being beset by thieves. Ata, therefore, loke, this world, aham, I, yagya arte, for the purpose of performing sacrifices. Agrasam, have hidden. Oshadi, all the herbs and grains. Purport and translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki. My dear king, not only are grains and herbs being used by non-devotees, but as far as I am concerned, I am not being properly maintained. Indeed, I am being neglected by kings who are not punishing these rascals who have turned into thieves by using grains for sense gratification. Consequently, I have hidden all these seeds which were meant for the performance of sacrifice. Purport. That which happened during the time of Prithu Maharaj and his father, King Vena, is also happening at this present moment. A huge arrangement exists for the production of large-scale industrial and agricultural products. But all these products are meant for sense gratification. Therefore, despite such productive capacities, there is scarcity because the world's population is full of thieves. The word choribute indicates that the population has turned to thievery. According to Vedic understanding, men are transformed into thieves when they plan economic development for sense gratification. It is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita that if one eats food grains without offering them to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yagya, he is a thief and liable to be punished. According to spiritual communism, all properties on the surface of the globe belong to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The population has a right to use goods only after offering them to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the process of accepting prasada. Unless one eats prasad, he is certainly a thief. It is the duty of governors and kings to punish such thieves and maintain the world nicely. If this is not done, grains will no longer be produced, and people will simply starve. Indeed, not only will people be obliged to eat less, but they will kill one another and eat each other's flesh. They are already killing animals for flesh. So when there will no longer be grains, vegetables and fruits, they will kill their own sons and fathers and eat their flesh for sustenance. Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmalitam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yana Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuba Evacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The verse again. My dear king, not only are grains and herbs being used by non-devotees, but as far as I am concerned, I am not being properly maintained. Indeed, I am being neglected by kings who are not punishing these rascals who have turned into thieves by using grains for sense gratification. Consequently, I have hidden all these seeds, which were meant for the performance of sacrifice. There's a saying, there's always two sides to every story. In the previous chapter, we heard the situation from the point of view of Prithu Maharaj. In the chapter, Bhumi is now revealing her situation as described in this verse. 3 points that Bhumi makes is that she has been neglected, not properly maintained. The kings are not executing their duty and are allowing thieves to prosper, and the production of grains are being used for sense gratification. It can be taken that since the body of Bhumi is not being maintained properly, a natural reaction is to protect it. If someone is trying to harm your body, the natural reaction is to defend. So it can be understood that Bhumi was trying to protect herself in some capacity. Another point is that the kings are being neglectful and allowing people who don't surrender to the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to grow and expand. The production of the earth's produce is used for sense gratification instead of being used in the service of the Lord. Prabhupada is indicating that the people who are using the produce of the earth are rogues and thieves. From this understanding, there is nothing wrong with Bhumi's actions. It can be said that Bhumi is effectively engaged in devotional service by hiding grains from the thieves who want to enjoy sense gratification. Bhumi is clearly mentioning the non-devotees in this regard. So, Prithu Maharaja's action to kill Bhumi, Mother Earth personified, appears to be very exaggerated. If we read this part of the pastime again, it begins with the citizens of the kingdom begging the king to protect them because they are starving to death. And after that, we find that Prithu Maharaj targets the source of the problem, Bhumi. Bhumi is targeting the non-devotees by hiding the grains. But the question is, are the citizens of the kingdom rogues and thieves? Prabhupada gives the indication of the mindset of the non-devotees. If there is no more grains, the non-devotees will resort to eating flesh, and it will lead to the point where people will cannibalize each other. In other words, the non-devotees will find an alternative to sense gratification rather than surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This implies that the citizens who are seeking protection from Prithu Maharaj are not rogues and thieves, but are innocent. In Bhagavad Gita 3:21, whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. This verse is very important in identifying who these citizens are. If we study the history of Prithu Maharaja's kingdom, it dates back to when Swayambhuva Manu began his rule. Swayambhuva Manu is the first Manvantara, the first father of mankind, and he is one of the 12 Mahajans, an authority in devotional service. Swayambhuva Manu is also the compiler of the Dharma Shastras, which includes Varna Ashrama Dharma. In Swayambhuva Manu's time, the demigods weren't even born yet. In that time, Swayambhuva Manu, as king and a great man, he worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his followers would have done the same by default. And the standards that Swayambhuva Manu set, the citizens of his kingdom, which is the whole world, would have pursued. So the citizens, Shri Shri Radha Radhana Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki. So the citizens in the kingdom are Vaishnav. This is shown when Swayambhuva Manu's grandson, Dhruva Maharaj, at the age of 6, returns from the forest, and the citizens celebrate because the prince has gotten the mercy of the Supreme Lord. The idea is that every king that came after Dhruva Maharaj, as a descendant of Dhruva Maharaj, was a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the citizens followed the example of their king. This goes up to King Anga, who is the father of King Vena. He was also a devotee. And when King Anga left the kingdom, the citizens went out looking for him, which shows they really had a lot of faith in King Anga. Similarly, King Vena, although an atheist, he also advocated the point that the demigods are subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Supreme Lord is meant to be worshipped. Although he had a misguided mentality, identifying himself as the Supreme, but the philosophy was accurate. Then Prithu Maharaj appeared afterwards, a Shakti-Avesh avatar. The citizens, headed by the Sutta, Magadha, and Vandi, had heard from the bona fide authorities that Prithu Maharaj was an incarnation of Godhead, so they came to glorify him. All these minute details all indicate that the citizens of the kingdom of Prithu Maharaj were Vaishnav to some extent. So Bhumi had inevitably caused devotees of the Lord to suffer from starvation. As Prabhupada had taught in his purports, when a Vaishnava is offended by someone, you must become angry and even retaliate if you have to. In this sense, Prithu Maharaj had seen that the devotees were dying, and he responded with an extreme determination to kill the cause of the devotees dying. If we look at both sides from the perspective of Prithu Maharaj and the perspective of Bhumi, we find that both parties are doing their duties in the service of the Lord. Prithu Maharaj and Bhumi are doing devotional service, but there is a conflict. Sometimes we have this experience ourselves. Person A and person B are engaged in separate services in the same location, but because there is no communication between them, they end up having a disagreement, and sometimes it can lead to fighting. The four Kumaras in the past were considered Gyanis, and their spiritual path came through Brahmavadi philosophy. They were bona fide impersonalists. The four Kumaras succeeded in elevating themselves, rising up in the sky and leaving the material world behind. They passed the Brahmajyoti and came to the entrance of Vaikuntha, bypassing several doorways. But the Kumaras were stopped from entering the Vaikuntha planet, and they were stopped by Jai and Vijay, who are the doorkeepers of Vaikuntha. So the Kumaras' spiritual journey abruptly came to a stop, and they didn't like that. They became upset, and eventually they cursed the doorkeepers, Jaya and Vijaya, who were simply doing their duty. So even in a place outside the material world, there can be conflict. One must remember that the spiritual world is not a mechanical place. It's full of entities that have feelings, opinions, and habits. Sometimes those feelings, opinions, and habits don't agree with you. Of course, these conflicts have nothing to do with envy, and instead these conflicts arise from the devotee's enthusiasm to serve Krishna. For example, the temple management will put a plan and system in place that benefits all devotees, but there may be individuals who have difficulty conforming to the system and may end up creating a disturbance. Another example is the dressing of Prabhupada. Prabhupada's murti. Can Mataji's dress Prabhupada or garland Prabhupada? Some Prabhus get offended. So, what perspective is correct? On the spiritual platform, your material body is of no value. Your only identification should be Das Anu Das, servant of the servant. So anyone can engage in Krishna conscious activities, sanctioned by the bona fide authorities. But on another perspective, Prabhupada is a sannyas. He is in the renounced order of life within the Varna Ashrama system. Sannyasis do not associate with the opposite gender, which is a rule for the sannyas order. So sometimes some Prabhus might get agitated when some Mataji is engaged in the personal service of Srila Prabhupada. So two conflicting points of view can be seen, and how service should be performed. And the solution is to ask your authority. Sometimes your authority will choose one perspective over the other depending on time, place, and circumstance. There are many such examples where the devotees experience conflicting views in devotional service. And our primary example here is Prithu Maharaj and Bhumi. Now in the purport, Prabhupada focuses on the thievery of materialists who are using earth's produce for material enjoyment. Prabhupada is making a comparison with the situation, and he that is described by Bhumi in this verse, and the current situation in our modern daily lives. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is ultimately the owner of everything that exists. Ishabasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjita magrida kasya sviddanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. This is Mantra 1 of the Ishopanishad. Here is the evidence that the Supreme Lord is the owner of everything, and by his mercy he has allotted a quota of his property to all living entities for their livelihood. However, when you exceed your quota and start taking in more than necessary, you are now classified as a thief. An intelligent person also understands that the quota that is being used by the living entity also belongs to the Supreme Lord, and therefore it should be used in the service of the Lord. The example is that of the employee of a company who has permission to use a company car. The company car is meant to be used for the purpose of the company. But if he uses the company car for his personal use, then the company can charge the employee for the criminal activity. So those who use the Lord's property for sense gratification, as described in this purport, is called a thief and is liable for punishment. To be absolved from the crime of thievery, you have to make offerings in sacrifice to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the sanctified remnants of the offering is accepted as prasad. Prasad means mercy. In this case, the mercy is that you won't be punished as a thief. 3:13 of Bhagavad Gita, we learn that whoever eats prasad will not accumulate any sin. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sin because they eat food which is first offered in sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. And thirdly, Prabhupada writes in a letter to his disciple regarding prasadam distribution. And in the letter, Prabhupada says that whoever eats prasad will gradually be purified. These are the three benefits of Mahaprasadam. You won't be classified as a thief. You won't accumulate sin. And you will be gradually purified. There are other benefits mentioned in different Vedic literatures about the Lord's Mahaprasadam. And the topic of Mahaprasadam can be taken almost from every angle. Mahaprasadam is present in the 9 processes of bhakti. And Mahaprasadam can also be an inconvenience to the practice of devotional service. If you eat too much, the fire of digestion starts drawing energy from the whole body in order to burn the food preparations. And what happens as a reaction, the body becomes lethargic. You end up wanting to sleep, and you could remain unconscious for 2 or 3 hours. Externally, it means anything could have happened to you, and you won't know about it. You could leave your body, and you won't know where your next destination is. Internally, it means you've wasted time being unconscious. In the 5th canto, Priyavrata says that sleep is a waste of time. Then he created a second sun planet and made sure that the entire world had no nighttime. So prasad can be understood as a double-edged sword in essence. So you should make sure not to eat too little or eat too much. And only then will you be able to make progress in Krishna consciousness. So I'll stop over here. Any questions or comments? Srimad Bhagavatam ke, Srila Prabhupada ke.